I'm the recording in progress. We are recording this, and Torrin will put it up in places where you can find it and send you notice that it's out there if you want to review it or send it on to anybody else who might be interested. I'm Jim Hunt, Communications Manager for Sustainable CT, and we're here today to talk about communications and how we can help you communicate to your communities. Really what it comes down to your various constituencies and stakeholders, not always just voters and taxpayers, but everybody that might want to know what you're up to. We do have some wonderful Sustainable CT people here, and I would be remiss if I didn't give them a chance to introduce themselves, as is our norm around here. So Inez, why don't you start, if you don't mind?
Yeah, my name is Inez Ortiz, and I am a program assistant for Sustainable CT. I'll pass it to Dorothy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dorothy Pizik. I'm also a program assistant at Sustainable CT. Nice to meet you all. Some of you I know, and I'll pass it off to Jess.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jess Leclerc. I'm the Senior Program Director with Sustainable CT. Torrin?
Hi, folks. I'm Torrin Radiccioni. I'm a program assistant for Sustainable CT. Thanks for joining us.
And the floor show starts in, no, it's okay. All right, so let's move along. And thank you all for being here very much. I'm going to run through our standard communications support that we provide, and then introduce a new feature that we're providing as well, and get your feedback and comments on that. Then I'm gonna hopefully just shut up, because the best part, the most effective part of communications is to listen, which is sometimes a hard concept to learn, but that's true. Listening is important. So hopefully we can get your input and comments on what it is that you need and what kind of help that you're looking for, so that we can provide that for you. But let's start with what I've got. I'm going to share my screen. Everybody can see that, I hope.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Fabulous. Okay. So let me get your smiling faces out of the way so I can actually move this. There we go. So we provide a certified municipal communications kit. Sorry, I can't speak today. You should receive this when you're certified. Simple as that. If you have not received this, or for whatever reason you don't have it, throw your name in the chat. Let me know, and I get your email address in the chat, and I will send it to you. Pure and simple. This runs through a whole lot of just pieces and points that will hopefully aid you in communicating to the town and other constituencies that you have. Again, I don't want to dwell too long on this, but I just want to go through the highlights of it. So the most important part of this is it's not a one-way conversation. It really is intended to have you folks tell us what it is you need, how we can help you. That's the most important thing, communicating with us. Because again, communication is most effective when we're listening, and that's what we really need to try to do. By keeping us informed of what you're doing, I can help you get your message out. Now, we have lots of very active platforms, as you folks do too. I mean, we're on the obvious places. We have our website, we have a newsletter, we are in social media, we have a podcast. We have ways of communicating that we can share, platforms on which we can share your stories, your activities, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you can say, well, yeah, but that really doesn't communicate with my constituency, Jim. It really, I'm trying to communicate with the town. And I get that. That's obviously your primary concern. But with this kind of communication, we want to spread the message around. That whole concept of being able to share good news beyond your borders, as it were, is pretty important. It creates an atmosphere of success, and it impacts other towns. And the legislature hears about you, and the governor hears about what you're doing. And state agencies then hear about what you're doing, and it really creates that groundswell, so that you have a little broader impact and potential for the activities you're in. So please, the most important thing to take away from here is to keep me informed. Put my email address in your distribution list. Treat me as if I'm a member of your town. You want to communicate with me, and just, it doesn't take extra effort. I'm not asking for that. But if you have a newsletter, if you have things that you're sending out regularly to your town, put me on the list, because I'd love to see it and share that information where we can and where we think it'll have the greatest impact. So please do stay in touch. That's the most important thing. There are a lot of points in your activities and what you're doing, whether it's pursuing sustainable CT actions or not. I mean, any given things that towns are doing, there are lots of many points of interest that you can blow your horn about and create a press release. And, you know, it doesn't take an earth-shattering event. You know, the small things become big things. It really is. So create a press release at any given point, whether you're working on pursuing certain actions, certainly when you're certified, when you're recertified, when you've accomplished, you know, something special within your town, put a press release out on it, because we want to hear about it. Everybody wants to hear about it. I certainly want to hear about it. And it will help, again, generate that air of success, breeding more success. You're being active, you're sharing this stuff out there. And there are appendices to this document that have templates that will allow you to, as a starting place. You can start there and make of them whatever you wish. They're included here too. Obviously, you want to make use of social media. It's where the action happens now, much more so than established news sites or something like that. You have your social media presence. And in this, an old marketing yarn is that repetition is our friend. You don't have to worry about, well, I've just said this. I've said this now 3 different ways. That's okay. Say it 5 different ways. Say it as many ways as you possibly can, and say it over and over and over again. And the reason for that is because it reinforces the message. The more people, the more times, it's not the more individuals who see that message, that's important, but even a individual who sees the same message several times, by the 3rd time, it will start to sink in. This is just simply a truism in human life. We're bombarded a lot. We have a lot of information coming at us, and we need to see some things 2, 3, 4 times before it really captures our attention and sinks in. So repetition is our friend. Get it out there on social media and across platforms. A really underused element here is notes to legislators and staying in touch with state government. It can be intimidating. You think, well, yeah, do they really want to know about my pollinator garden? Yeah, they do. They do. They need to know this information. Tell them about it, and make sure that you keep in touch with your whether it's the state or the federal officials in your area, your district. Make sure they know what you're doing. So put them in your distribution list as well, and send them direct messaging and provide attachments. They do appreciate it. And even if you have to go through a gatekeeper, that's okay. The gatekeepers are doing their job, and they do it well. So if it's a press officer for a state senator, or if it's a press office for your congressman, that's okay. Establish that relationship. It really helps. Events are huge. Okay, and we love to come to events. So if you're planning an event, please invite us. And we can take any role that will follow your lead. What it is that you would like us to do. We can have an active role, get up there and say what great things about your town, or we can, be in the background just to support. Really, whatever it is, level of involvement you would like us to have. But again, part of that communicating with us. Keep us informed. Let us know when you're having your event, and we will share information about it. But we'll also be there. We want to be there to support you in what you're doing. And events, of course, engage the town. They engage your constituents in a very meaningful way. Our plaques are wonderful. Yes, they are. And we're having all brand new style of plaques coming out this year. You're gonna love them. They're really beautiful. really put this in a prominent place. So people, as a talking point, so people come to the municipal offices and they see it and they question, well, what is this? Why is this here? It really is a conversation starter. You can run with it from there, and it just lets people know that you're really making these achievements. It's not just, if you say, well, you're working on actions, you're working on this, you're doing this, well, what's the payoff? The payoff is right here. You're being certified. You're bronze, you're silver, you're going for gold. This is how it's represented. So make sure you put that out there prominently. And use us. Whatever we have in terms of our own visual identity, narrative identity, you can use. We want to be supportive. We want to provide for you whatever elements or tools that you can use. So if you want to integrate your silver certified logo or your bronze certified logo in any of your town elements, let me know. I will provide them for you and help you if you need any help in using them. There are all sorts of different formats for web and print and large scale, small scale, whatever you wish. But we have those available, and we can provide them easily for you. And again, I come back to, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts about something that you need, reach out to me, because I love this stuff. This is what I do. This is what I like to do. As strange as that may sound. So, use me any way that you think you can, even if it's just, you want to throw an idea around. What do you think of this? I love that, because it helps me too. The more I'm able to talk about how we communicate with other people, with other towns, it helps me do my job too. And it's that kind of interconnection that really is, I think, beneficial for everybody. One piece of advice that is not part of this, but I want to share. I've said this to a lot of different people before, but if possible, if at all possible, your communications should be directed or coordinated, that's the best word, by one person. And if you think about this, there's logic to it, whether it's volunteer, staff, whoever it is, however it is. I'm not saying all done by one person. You can have lots of people working on different elements of your communications plan. Somebody's doing the writing, somebody's adding some graphics, somebody's doing some layout, somebody's doing some list planning. But there needs to be one person in charge of coordinating the messaging. And the reason for that is because you can't do this by committee. You can't run a communications program by committee, because it ends up being running against one another. So so for instance, if it's diffused through your town organization, your town operations, you might have public works over here doing their thing, and you have Parks and Rec over here doing their thing, and the mayor's office is over here doing their thing. And pretty soon your messaging is end up contradictory or stepping on one another's toes in terms of scheduling. Okay. There isn't a cohesive, comprehensive approach. But if you have one person who's coordinating that, then they can establish a schedule. They can make sure that this messaging dovetails between departments and really has that supportive element from one department to the next. And it also, frankly, aids in accountability. We don't want to, we don't like to think, well, we want to be positive. Everybody does great work, and sometimes mistakes are made, even innocent ones, and we have to learn from those. Those are opportunities for growth and for learning, much more so than being slapped in the head with a wet noodle. It's much worse. It's an important point for growth, opportunity for growth and improvement. So if one person's responsible for what's going out the door, they can also come back and say, okay, I can learn from this, I can improve, I can change that in the future. So one piece of advice: have somebody in charge of messaging in your operation. Don't make it by committee. As I said before, the most important element of communications is the listening. So I'm going to shut up real soon. But just to follow up on that a little bit, in our action 8.2, one of the major parts of that action is to the town to provide, establish, maintain a two-way communications element with the community. Now, a lot of people default to social media, Facebook for that, and that's fine. That is, as I say, kind of the medium of the day. And communities are used to communicating with each other that way, and that's fine. But there's got to be some way to be able to speak with the community, not just at them. You can send out all of the emails and the newsletters, and everybody should have a newsletter, by the way. You send out all the newsletters and the emails and the stuff that you want, and make posts to your social media. But you got to give an opportunity for people to come back and talk to you and tell you what their needs are and how you can reach them better. Otherwise, you could be flying blind. You won't know if what you're doing really is working for you. All right. You could be wasting a whole lot of time and effort and not reaching people the way you need to. So make sure that element too is in there. Now, the one thing that we're going to add to our communications kit. Let me get this is in the way, so I got to move this if I can. On just a second. I can't get that out of the way. Gonna be interesting. Let me see if I can do it this way. There we go. Now I just have to make it bigger. I love Zoom. Try that. Okay. So what we've come up with is what we were calling, the working title was a town certification report card. We didn't really like that title, but these are working titles you deal with. And we finally set on certification success report, much more upbeat, much more positive. And really that's what we want it to be. We want it to provide towns a way to communicate to their constituencies and, voters, taxpayers, other stakeholders, whether it's business community, education community, any of the constituencies within your town, a way to communicate your successes and why you're doing what you're doing and how, what progress you're making on it. We've heard a lot over the years from towns wanting this. So this is not, out of the blue. We've listened and we're trying to provide. So this is what we came up with. This is an example, obviously, for the town of Guilford. And I will just walk through this as quickly as possible. The cover of it, it's a folded piece. It's intended for both electronic and print media. So we're trying to accommodate that, and I'll show you how in the content. But so this is the cover page for it. And we're taking an iconic photograph from your town for the cover, high res, something pretty, something beautiful. We want to show it, represents your town. Get that out front. Guilford, as an example, some of you have actual logos that you use rather than your town seal. And we want to accommodate that. We want to use whatever it is that you want to use. You put your own best foot forward, and we want to accommodate that. So Guilford, as an example, this is a very stylish element they've developed over the years. I think much more stylish than their state seal, which is it's okay, but nothing compared to this. So that's why we've incorporated that here. Another example where the state seal would be used is Winchester's. They have a beautiful state seal, kind of fits in there. The colors work. They're bronze certified, so all those, again, stylistically seems to make sense. So I am sensitive to that. I do try to format and style with some sense of color. All right, so that's another one from Winchester, but we're sticking with Guilford at the moment. So I need to move out of the way. There we go. So this is the guts of the pamphlet, and really it's displaying success points for your town. And on the starting from left to right, on the left, we're showing a short narrative of what your most recent achievement might have been with respect to certification, points earned, anything in specifically stands out, could make a reference to. In the center fold of the piece, you have a graphic display of where your emphasis has been demarcated in this color wheel, showing what areas, actions you've been really working the most in. I think it's interesting. We're hoping to do is actually dumb this down even just a bit more, where the common reader, the person on the street, isn't going to understand what our actions are and necessarily, and have all the, really inside baseball knowledge of some of this stuff. So we want to make it as straightforward and clear as possible. So we're going to work on that a little bit. So there's things like equity, economy, natural resources, culture, really shorten these down to the bullet. What are they? Everybody understands the word transportation, energy, communications, materials management. There's not a whole lot we could do with that. Health and wellness is fairly straightforward. Housing, homelessness prevention. Those are the kind of things we want to make very crystal clear to the reader. In this left portion here, we're going to highlight either, if you're a climate leader, we'll make hay of that. If you're not a climate leader, you might have CMF projects that we can highlight. Those are always very cool to talk about. If you have neither CMF projects nor climate leader designation as yet, trust me, we'll find a particularly compelling action that you've taken to highlight and make something out of for sure. Up here, we want to talk about a success story that you may have had. Every town has had a success story of some sort in some way at some point in their trip down certification lane. So we want to highlight that because those are great for other towns to know about too. Down on the bottom, we have some statistics. They always work well. The numbers are fun to see. Total for certification points and total number of actions completed. Again, this is a little bit inside baseball to the common reader, but trust me on this, if you look at numbers and you're looking at them at face value, it's impressive to see $24,000. What is that? Oh, wow, that's a community match fund. It does have an appreciable effect. So we want to highlight those numbers of success. And then on the right-hand side, we definitely want to provide a place for you folks to be contacted. Again, it's that two-way street of communications to be able to give folks in your town a way to get through and reach you. So that's the information that's listed here. We want to provide, the way this is a both print fashion for print and for electronic media, is that if you were to type in any one of these, so if you pick this up as a printed piece and I typed in sustainableguilford.org, it would take me there on any browser. And I can also, of course, click through on it here. Any of these are fashioned that way, and that's why they're written this way. So it doesn't just say Twitter or Instagram. We want to be able to provide those address links. The exception, not even an exception, we have Guilford's Sustainable CT municipal profile that will take to if you want to find out more about what all this represents, you're going to go to the certification report, that lengthy piece of everything in. You'll get the profile first, you'll be able to go to the individual reports from there. And so we're using a QR code here for that purpose too, in case it's in print. And that's really the meat of this for the town. And we are totally open to what you need, what suggestions you'd like to make, other information you'd like to include in this space, in this real estate. We can, work with you to make it shine for you. It needs to work for you. It isn't intended. The primary purpose of this is not for us. This is something that we want to provide for you to be able to run with and show and be proud of. So you let us know what you need in this regard, but this is what we've come up with as a template, as a start. The last page is information about us. Generally our boilerplate, a little bit massaged here and there about what we do and about the Community Match Fund program. We think that particularly the Community Match Fund program is particularly important to know in certified towns. People in your town will want to know about that. because it's only certified, well, it's registered towns, but if you're certified, you've already been registered, you are eligible to get into community match fund. And we want to broaden that participation as much as possible, is letting people know about it. So that is the third piece of this. So these things will be, this will be custom made for each of the certification towns. This starting with this certification period. So at our October 17th award celebration in the beautiful little city of Winstead at the American Mural Project, and I hope everybody comes, it's going to be great. These will be provided for you and as part of your certification communications package. Just so you're aware of that. So each certification period will design these for each specific town. And that's what I have for now. And now I really am going to shut up and listen and hope that you guys have some ideas. So you can tell me what it is that you're looking for, what more I can provide for you that will help you communicate what you're doing and the successes that you're having, because you're having them. So we want to let people know. Let me see if I can.
Jim, I think there was a question in the chat from Catherine about, if you go back to the centerfold page, about Guilford's total certification points being 1,165. Maybe just explaining that.
Okay, that's total certification points earned all time. Oh, that makes more sense.
Yep.
And there's a better way to say that, so it's clear. But again, we're kind of writing for a general audience. That's that's the concept. But it could certainly be made more clear. That's points for all time, from bronze and silver and whenever they've been certified.
So this is Catherine. I think obviously there's a lot of double counting going on in that points number, because when towns resubmit for certification, they tend to submit the same actions, just updated. So I don't know. I might go with a single year.
Okay,
The current number.
gotcha.
This is
For the
I just
number-
have a practical question. Can you email us a copy of this presentation that you're doing now?
The document itself.
No, your PDF presentation for this meeting.
Yeah, that's yes, I can certainly email that to you. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
My same comment would go, I assume, for the number of sustainability actions completed, because
Yes, that's
There-
all time.
the actions, that there's some double counting in there too.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, in general, sorry, I don't want to be the only one talking. I love it, Jim. This is amazing.
Thank you, Kat.
And I think it's great graphically, and I think it's really a nice benefit for towns to share with their community, because we don't have the time nor the capability to put together something so glossy ourselves. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do it. It also helps me a great deal just in the doing, because it gets me to know a lot more intimately, if you will, about your towns and what you've done. So that's great. It really is. It's been a lot of fun to do. So, is there any other communications element, or is there anything else that you think I or we can provide to you to help you communicate with your constituencies at all beyond this, or in addition to that?
I've talked about it, so I've mentioned it again. Some kind of large banner that we could hang in our town squares or on our, a lot of towns have town greens or overhead things, not necessarily town specific, but
Okay.
would be just, bronze, silver, and gold, and we could borrow it for a few weeks to hang up in the community to let people know what.
Yeah. What would that look like, Catherine? What do you what size ballpark are you thinking about?
These are things that are like 24 feet by 12 feet or something. There are specs on and they have grommets, so they're hung on like wires above the road.
And they go across a street.
Town greens. There are specific specs for West Hartford's on
Yeah.
West Hartford's,
Okay.
which I can send you a link. I'm not sure whether, whether ours is a standard size or, yeah, that might become problematic if other towns have specific specs.
Okay. Yeah, no, send me the link. That'd be great. I've seen lots of different versions of this, and you're right. The only issue being sometimes you get different towns are going to need different sizes. We'll figure it out. But that's a great idea. That's a great idea to have some kind of exterior installation of sorts for some period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they make like sustainable materials ones of those. We've batted that idea around because typically those banners are kind of PVC plastic, but
Yeah.
I think the content's getting there might be some green companies out there. I don't know.
Yeah, there are green companies who do this, and they're great. Unfortunately, the materials, because it's exterior material and has to put up for the weather and everything else, generally is not exactly eco-friendly. But I'll take a look. I'll take a look at what's available for sure. All right, cool. Anything else? Anything else? Any other way that we can help you?
There's a question in the chat from Susan Cullen, if you want to check that one out, Jim, or I can read it.
Let's say redraft a paper one. The question from Susan is, can we have a draft of our particular one so we can see what we need to send you, graphics, etc.? Absolutely, yeah. I'll follow up with this there has to be some kind of coordinating process involved, so that we don't drive ourselves, one another crazy. So I'll send out the information and try to come up with a process wherein you can have input, decide what it is you want on there, and coordinate with me to I'll create it and make sure that you're satisfied with it. So we'll have some kind of schedule and process involved with that. But yes, the short answer to your question is yes, we want you to have this. We want you to have your input on it. Decide what it is that you want to put in on there. Yeah, you're better at knowing that than I am. I can read these certification reports and be awed by them, and I think something is, wow, that's really great. I love that story. I love that idea, and it may not be the one that you think you should be highlighting. And I think that you folks are the best ones to know. So, absolutely. And I was serious earlier, definitely please stay in touch, put me on your distribution list, send me your newsletters. I want to be able to share your good news with our constituencies. And it's because it's obviously different. We're not trying to reach your voters, your citizens. We're looked into a lot of people like you folks all around the state, and state agencies and officers and donors, and it's a different group. But if they know that you're having success, that really will build on itself. I think it'll help a lot. So. Does everybody is it common for towns to have a monthly newsletter? Anybody? I think it would be smart.
I don't know, in West Hartford, I know we have news on our town website that our
Yeah.
public relations specialist keeps up. I'm not sure that she sends out a newsletter per se. I think we get some kind of newsletter in Simsbury where I live,
Yeah, okay.
mainly on council related, like a town manager's update.
Okay, all right. Susan says, yeah, they have one, but isn't terribly popular. Well, I hear you, you know, the thing about a good newsletter is if it doesn't require a great deal of time and effort. In other words, if you're able to leverage, you're writing material or content for Facebook or for your website. If you're able to take that content and rework it into a newsletter without too much, effort, plug and run, to the degree possible, it's to your benefit. You can send it out, to an email distribution list. Again, it simply reinforces the message and gets that in front of eyeballs, repeat messaging so that it sinks in and people get to be familiar with and comfortable with your messaging. Because it doesn't, and when you have a special event going on or a special announcement or something special you really want to highlight, come in very handy too. So if you got a newsletter, send it to me. Put me on the list. I want to read it. All right. Anybody else? Anything else? Or we could wrap it up soon, early? What would you like to do? I think we're all set. All right. In the end, please stay in touch. If you have questions, let me help. I want to see it and I want to be involved so I can help get your message out too. And we'll follow up with the new certification success report and get that in your hands so you can play with it and have your input. Let me know what you want to do with it. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.